traveling. I know Rodney said they'll be gone for a little bit. So there's a lot of people. There's quite a few today I know that are out. So, God's grace is for everybody to get home safely. That's very important to everybody, of course. So let's see if my eyes, I did not bring any readers, so we'll see if they work so far. So starting out, God's people shall prosper. So the scripture comes from Isaiah 49:18 through 23 today. But in the introduction I found was cool. As y'all know, I only have a girl child, so we watched all those movies, the really cool movies. I, of course, enjoyed them too. Anybody see The Princess Diaries? Anybody that has a boy that will confess that? No. So a lot of you may know, if you don't know the movie, Julie Andrews, with this, what is it, The Sound of Music, she was so popular for. Well, she keeps gracing our appearance, our movies, and I thought this was a great movie. But it's about a young girl who finds herself, it says, a reversal of fortune. And that's pretty much describes the movie. Her mother was a single mom. I think she was an artist, so everybody thinks an artist, you feast or famine, and so her life as a teenager was not easy. Well, then all of a sudden she's thrown into this life that she is actually a princess. Her father gave up the throne and married her mom. Well, didn't marry, that's who her father was a prince, and come to find out, Julie Andrews is the queen of, I can't remember the name of it. It was some made-up country. And so, along with all of those troubles, she has to decide, am I going to step up and be the princess? Am I going to take, the lead from my grandmother? Or am I going to still be a teenager in the United States? So she, of course, gets all, because you got to have comedy in all the movies. So, you go along with her becoming queen or princess, like, you have to have all the etiquette training and all the classes and all this stuff. And so it's really a cute movie if you haven't seen it. But it comes down to change in fortune often results in a change in identity. From being an artist-only daughter, Mia became a princess. While it was an exciting change, it also came with great challenges that made her ask, well, is this worth it? It says, God's people face a reversal of fortune, as did the nations of the world. God's servant would offer a change of identity to all. There were great challenges for the servant, Israel and the nations. So the question remained, is it worth it to be part of God's great reversal? So starting off with the scriptures, as we said, it starts out from Isaiah 49:18 through 23. Verse 18, lift up your eyes and look around. All your children gather and come to you. And the lesson writer talks about how this is a call, it's one, sorry y'all, let me make sure I am going in the right direction. Yes, I am. it says it's one of hope rather than desperation. Upon obeying the command, it said Lady Zion would look around and see to her children. The rest of verse 18, as surely as I live, declares the Lord, you will wear them all as ornaments. You will put them on like a bride. And so, what I first thought about before I read on was, what do you think about a bride? You're thinking about the wedding, as we like to say, dress to kill. You really think about, you put on your best. You come out when anybody gets married. You're not, unless they tell you to wear blue jeans. You're going to dress up. You're going to come out in your most ornamental clothing. It goes on to say, you're dressed like a bride. Brides, always dressed to impress. Said women had very little opportunity to care for themselves economically, and usually left their father's home early when they married. Their wedding day marked the day their economic fortune became their husband's concern. It's not quite like it is now. You have a big responsibility in the family. It says you're no longer your father's. My husband's biggest joke is he tells my dad he's going to bring me back for his money. He's going to get his money back, and I remind him that he has yet to pay for the rest of me. So he will not. My dad, they both laugh about it. But my husband thinks he's a comedian, y'all. But it says their wedding day marked the day their economic fortune became their husband's. It was also the day they began trying to fulfill one of the, if not the most important roles, of course, for women, especially then, was birthing and raising the children. So, verse 19, first part, though you were ruined and made desolate, and your land laid waste, now you will be too small for your people. And in here, the lesson writer talks about, when it said Zion would be plowed and Jerusalem would become heaps. Said the image of waste encourages the reader to think of the utter destruction of not only Jerusalem, but all of the land. Once cultivated fields would be wild and overgrown, having reverted to their own natural state. Said stones, you think about, when I read this, you think about how they would divide. They had their way of laying off the land, who had what acreage, and oftentimes the stone walls would be how they divided their land, their crop, their area. And so those were just strewn about. Verse 19, the second part, it says, and those who devoured you will be far away. So here it's talking about, the ones that brought you down will no longer be around you, Here, there's also, in the lesson, I've talked often how they'll have little stories in the middle of the scriptures. This one is desolation and ruin. It says, we who live in the western United States are feeling the growing threat of wildfires. I'm really sounding country today, not intending to, but you know, we hear the nightmare stories of not just California anymore. What was it? The last one was New Mexico. Was that one of the states that had the wildfires? But several states out west, we, thank God, don't know that life. They talk about having a go bag. Can you imagine keeping a bag by your door that has your most treasured things? You know, your children's photos or your parents' photos, the ones that you might could replace your children's photos because they'd be on the cloud where you could get them, but the ones from your parents or your long ancestors, long gone, anything like that, any valuables that something you hold dear. Almost, Robin, I thought of you and the babies, almost as, you know, as you're expecting, they say pack that bag, but can you imagine keeping a bag packed all the time? Because you know, especially during the season, that the wildfires could come through at any time. And here, as it tells the story, it says, you know, as they come through, and we saw in several years ago, and I cannot remember the name in California, where the house after house after house, they were just gone, you know, and they did a lot on about that story. It says the Jews returning to ruined Jerusalem must have felt similarly when they got the "you can go back home now," you know, which is what, if you've been in that area, they would tell you. It says, how does your faith help you when events in life destroy what you have built? Verse 20, it says, the children born during your bereavement will yet say in your hearing, this place is too small for us. Give us more space to live in. Do you think that's kind of what the population, to some degree, has said for years with the United States? You know, the elbow room from the old Saturday morning. We want elbow room, so that's why they moved west. You know, but you look at the population, how it's grown, and everybody has expanded. Here it says, Hebrews experienced when they were in bondage in Egypt for 430 years. Well, they went into Egypt as 70 people. It says, as the family of Jacob. And they left as a nation of about 600,000 men. Well, back in that time, they didn't count who? The women or the children. So, you know, you're looking at about 2 million people. Verse 21, it says, then you will say in your heart, who bore me these? I was bereaved and barren. I was exiled and rejected. Who brought these up? I was left all alone. But these, where have they come from? So, verse 22, first part, it says, this is what the sovereign Lord says. See, I will beckon to the nations. I will lift up my banner to the peoples. See, Zion is once again called to see. So oftentimes in the Bible it says see. So, I mean, to us, and I think growing up in church, we have always known that meant look or listen. So it says God's beckoning to the nations and lifting up his banner to the peoples reveals that God will use foreign nations to accomplish his will for Zion. It could also be that God was warning any people who would come against them. So, you know, it might be like, see, these are my people who I will lift up. Don't come to face them, because it will not turn out well for you. And the rest of verse 22, it says, they will bring your sons in their arms and carry your daughters on their hips. And then verse 23, the first part says, kings will be your foster fathers, and their queens your nursing mothers. They will bow down before you with their faces to the ground. They will lick the dust at your feet. It says, you know, here the image is both of care and nurturing. The lesson writer also talks about, could this, you know, the image might make us think of Pharaoh's daughter when she stepped up, you know, and when she raised or cared for Moses. In verse 23, it says, then you will know that I am the Lord. Those who hope in me will not be disappointed. And here, when the lesson writer is talking about you will know that I am the Lord, you will find it frequently in the Bible. And it says, knowing starts with accepting the facts, but requires much more. Then as now, knowing the Lord requires obeying him. So that's one of the first things. It says, first of all, by rejecting all others who claim the same status. It says, following closely after this is living in accordance with God's revealed laws, not choosing for ourselves what seems good or simply justifiable. And then, sorry, I'm going to make sure. So, you know, just because we feel that it's right and just, it's actually got to be God's laws. It's got to be what he says. And it says, although knowing the Lord requires faith, he also supplies plenty of evidence to give us confidence in who he is. Waiting on the Lord is rarely easy, but it is always worthwhile. Though his good plans may not be revealed, and what do they say, in our lifetime. You know, we've always heard everybody saying, well, look at the signs. You know, what do you see being fulfilled in the Bible? And so, you know, we say, oh, you know, it seems like God will be coming back soon. You know, we don't know, but guess what? For years, people have said, look at how things are coming about. So none of us know. It could be in our lifetime, or it could, you know, it may not be. It says, between his past deeds, his demonstrated faithfulness to his promises, and his assurances regarding our future with him, we have every reason to hope patiently and know that he will vindicate our faith. So, you know, to me, the main thing I brought out or took out of this is that how he will bring us through those times. And just, you have to have hope, and you have to have faith, and most of all, you stay steadfast with him. You know, yeah, we'll say, oh, you know, it may not, you know, he's coming soon. It's not for us to know, but it's for us to continue as if we do know. We do know at some time he is coming back. It may be that we beat him, as Tal used to say, to the gates, you know, beat others home. We think about lots of people, especially recently, we've lost that have beat us to the Lord's house, you know. But the main thing is we have to be ready. We really need to be ready. So that's probably short. I hope it was sweet. Arnoldine, it's good to see you. How are you doing?
Oh, good.
Good.
Can't complain.
Well, I was going to say, I understand that, but I'm glad you're doing good. So, does anybody have anything for the, as they would say, the good of the people? Anybody got anything to add? Let's close with prayer. Dear Lord, thank you for bringing us here today, and as Robin said, for the nice weather we've had yesterday and today. Dear Lord, just be with us as we approach the next week. Be with those that aren't as fortunate as us, that have to really be out in the weather, in the heat, or don't have the means at home to stay as cool as a lot of us. Dear Lord, please go with us. Help us to be the examples you need us to be. Help us be that shining person for you. Help, dear Lord, all those that we mentioned earlier and all those we didn't. In your name we pray.